Okay, so I'm just going to use this in the context of what we're doing here, so we can keep it familiar to it. But what I'm about to show you is super useful for many different things, many different things. It's just a way of creating any sort of like pipe, tube, wire. You can even do it with hair. You can even do it with stuff, and it's very fun. It does need us doing some downloading of something. It's a perfectly free bit of software, and it's actually by Maya. It's actually by Autodesk. Sorry about the guys. Reversing in the background. It just turned up. Um, it's bonus tools. Now this is made by Autodesk, like I said, and it's a simple download. So just literally type in Maya 2020 bonus tools. It'll take you to it. You install it, then next time you open up Maya, you'll have this. I don't know why they don't include this kind of stuff with the main distributable, but for some reason they don't. So it's super fun. So let's go into it. What we're going to use for this is not actually any poly of stuff. We're actually going to make a curve. So if we go to our curves tool in our create menu, that we want to use an EP curve. We can use a CV curve. There's no real difference between the two. A CV curve, or curves in general. So how curves are produced is a little bit like polygons, where you need multiple points to create something. I'll start with an EP curve because that's the easiest one to do to show off. So EP curve, I get a point. Then I technically got a curve here. It's a straight curve because like it's a coordinate thing. So if I've just got one coordinate, two coordinate, there's no curve being able to be applied to it. How do you curve between 2 points? If I had a third, now I get my curve. My curve starts to get developed. So that's my EP curve. And I can click around, click and drag, and then I can go in and move my curve using these points like that. That's the EP curve. Now the EP curve's fun. It's probably what I use most of the time. However, one of the things is you can sometimes kind of make your curve a bit messy, especially if you make tight little turns. It makes it a little bit messy. The other curve, which is really strict and quite quite controlling, is a CV curve. Now with this, you have to put down 4 points to get a curve because what we're actually making is a bounding box for the curve to live in. And you'll see what I mean in a sec. So put down 1 point, put down 2 points. Oh, it's orange, it's different. Put down 3 points, nothing occurs yet. Put down a fourth, now we get our curve. Now what this is the curve will never breach the concave, there you go, concave area of this CV curve. So no matter how much I try, I'll never breach that concave edge there. But the byproduct of that is our curve is actually pretty smooth. But then we end up with a curve that we can go in and manipulate anyway. So it's fine. So either one you want to use, doesn't matter. The end product is the same. I'm going to come use my EP curve, and what I'm going to do is just make a couple of examples like that. 2 examples. Scale them down a bit. Right. So why we use these curves? We're using these curves as a guide. So sometimes modeling things that are kind of like smooth and coily is really hard just with polygons because polygons are very strict and very stiff. But with curves, at least we can lay out a nice little shape like this. Now what we're going to do is super simple. We go up to bonus tools, go down to modeling. And at the top here we've got curve to ribbon mesh and curve to tube mesh. So what I'm going to do is click curve to ribbon mesh. So we got this. Now this doesn't look super great at the minute because it's only just been developed. But our channel box is now very busy with stuff. Loads of busy stuff. And our most important stuff we want to look at is all here. So width. If I click on width, the word itself, hold down my middle mouse button and then drag left and right the scene. You see now we start to add a little bit of width. It's actually upside down for some reason. Add a little bit of width. Look at that. I can go down to like say length division. It's probably one of the most important one for us. If I start increasing the length division, we start making more and more divisions down the length, and you can see that it starts to actually conform to the shape a little bit better. It's super good. We have our width divisions if we want to. We've got a curvature. So with a width division, I can add a little bit. It's only subtle, but I can have a bit of bend. I've got orientation, so I can see rotate this the right way around. I've got taper, so I can actually make it thinner and smaller along the length. And actually twist it as well, which is very, very good. I can twist stuff. And with the other one, I do tube. It's the same thing. For some reason, it's black and white. It always goes inside for some reason. So I can increase the length divisions. I can just change the orientation until it'll, there we go, flips for some reason. I can twist and taper. Doesn't, this one for some reason has been a little bit funnier, not acting that nice. Sometimes this happens with curves. But the big thing about this, I'll just delete this one. The big thing I love about this is if I am able to just go inside and grab the curve, go to my control vertex, I can actually manipulate the geometry while it's still attached. Because you can see there at the end, I got some really crunchy kind of geometry, so I can try and fix it up a little bit. But that's only there because I made a very, very sharp angle, so the geometry kind of like crushes itself. But there I can put nice. Super cool. And I can still go in to this and change length divisions. I can change the uniform division, so it can either be an equal spacing going down the length, or I can ununiform it, which isn't going to make too much of a difference now, but it's basically, it will, between 2 points, 2 of these control points, it will put, say this one and this one, it'll put X amount of divisions. Uniform, it was just going to say like from here to here, there's going to be an equal distribution of edges. But ununiform, basically between like this point and this point, it might add like 10. So it's going to add between this point and this point, it's going to add 10. So you can see around here it's going to be more clustered, around here it's going to be more open. Actually, the difference. I wonder now that we've just fixed that, I wonder if twist and taper still, no, twist and taper is still acting funny. Like I said, sometimes this kind of happens, but generally it's fine. I think it's because I scaled the curve at the beginning. I can't change any of the stuff with that. But that's how we can make this. So that's literally how I made this. There was a curve on the inside. Well, I made a curve from here, back there, and I just moved the points around so I got like a bit of a curve. I even got like a little raise where the wire kind of sits on top, and then I've got it going into the back of this. And I've got a wire. Now, the great thing about this as well is it gives us some basic UVs. It's not great, but it gives us basic UVs to start off with. And we use this for all. So I use this a lot for hair for characters. So you imagine the ribbon mesh I showed you before. I lay in big chunks for general guides for hair, and then I create the ribbon mesh, and then I can use a twist and a taper to maybe like twist it to conform to the way the hair flows, or taper it to maybe make it a little bit pointier, a little bit wider, depending on what I'm doing. This is really good for, imagine you, well, a wire just after our radio. If you had a character where, or a vehicle, let's call it a vehicle, so we don't always use characters as an example. If you had a vehicle where you had like some sort of piping wrapping around it, you just set the piping up with the curves where the middle of the pipe is going to be, and then literally you just curve the tube mesh and do that. For instance, just as a quick kind of like little idea that jumped in my head then, if I was doing a scene where I was in like a kid's bedroom and I was making kind of like a bit of a racetrack, well, I could just go, I could make that racetrack and try and evenly distribute stuff. That. Even lift one side up because maybe this is going on top of a bunch of books or whatever. Curve to ribbon mesh. Add that length division. Add that width, not that width division, sorry, add that width. I can play around with twist and taper, see if I can sort that out. I can do a ton of stuff because then I've got like a nice little cool beginnings of a nice little road for my character. If I'm done with this and I'm like, right, okay, that's perfectly fine. I'm not really bothered about the curve anymore. The shape is perfectly fine, except again, something's screaming in my head to fix that. Even though it's a demonstration, I just need to fix up my work. Just a little bit. There we go. Once I'm done with this, I can just be like, right, grab my geometry. I go to Polygon. I delete my history because then that releases the curve from the geometry. Now this is a individual component on its own, and then I can, if I need to, I can say flatten off geometry that's a bit kind of obviously wobbly, wonky, whatever, like that. And I can then say, like, grab this. If I want to make it a bit 3D, I could be like, okay, I'm going to add like the thickness of a Scalextric track, for instance. And then if I want to be really spicy, and actually make that Scalextric kind of track in the middle. Take the ends off first to make it easy for myself. Well, I can just use the bevel stuff. I've already done this kind of stuff, so I grab my middle. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to add a division in the middle, segments. Because that's like the hole where the kind of little guide kind of sits on the Scalextrics. And then I just extrude that in. And then effectively I've now got like a little 3D Scalextric track. Super, super simple. Obviously not, for that such a quick demonstration, it's not super kind of crisp, but it's very, very, you spend a bit of time with this, you can do some really powerful stuff with it. And that's how we made this. That's how I'm going to make this. That's how you could also make, like, if you want to give like little bendy rabbit ears or little curly rabbit ears, whatever. Rabbit ears being like the old-fashioned little dual antenna thing. It's that simple. It's that simple. Cool. Right then. So like I said, just a quick one. See you in the next.